the things of God. It can tell you that there's the theory of evolution. Things change over time. That's basically what evolution says. It can't tell you how they change. It can't tell you why they change. And now science has gotten to the point where it's proving God exists. In physics, they said everything in the universe hinges on one thing. It's called the God particle. If the God particle were to move, you can look it up. If the God particle were to move from where they say it exists, they said the whole universe would fall apart. Those of us of faith already knew that. It says, in him everything was formed, in him everything exists and consists, and he holds everything in order. He told us that in his word. So if you're of faith, you already knew that. It's like, man, you guys are just catching up. You're about 4,000 or 5,000 years late. In biology, they've proven that there is a God gene. We are hardwired as humans to believe in God, to seek God. So now science, which was created to disprove the belief of the existence of God, has now begun to prove that God exists. Why? Because everything works together for the good of them that love the Lord and are called to according to his purpose, because he's in charge. But somehow, in our ignorance, we embrace things that are not even proven. Not truth. Not tested. Just an idea. I watched this, and I watched that, and I watched that, and I hypothesized that because of this, this, and this, that's what happened. But the reality of it is, you can't tell me how it happened, and you can't tell me why it happened. What you can do is just tell me what you saw. Well, faith is the evidence of things, what? Hope for. Okay? We walk in faith, which is, we don't need to see where we're going because God guides us. Every step that we take. We operate in ignorance in terms of just simple things like how we name our children. We name our children some of the most crazy things I've ever heard in my entire life. Make no sense whatsoever. But somehow we're okay with it. My daughter's name are Hannah and Olivia. And what we need to understand is the first blessing any child receives is when someone speaks their name. So my daughter's name is Hannah, which is grace, which is favor. So whenever they say Hannah, they say favor. Whenever they say Olivia, they're saying peace. So whether they have good intentions or bad intentions, when their name comes out of their mouth, someone else's mouth, they're speaking a blessing over my children. It was designed that way. It's expected to be that way. And the Bible talks about a child named Vernon, which means son of my sorrow, because his mother had a difficult pregnancy. She named him Vernon. But his father came and said, no. He's Benjamin, son of my right hand. Right hand representing the hand of power and authority. So he understood the importance of naming his child something that is going to be a blessing to him and not a curse. The first thing that happens when you're a Muslim, what's the first thing they do? You change your name. See, we don't understand it. We think it's no big deal. I like the way that name sounds. The first thing they do when you become a Muslim is change your name. They understand it. Somehow we, in ignorance, do not. So we get frustrated when our children act out in perversion because of the frivolity with which we name them. I like the name, it sounds good, so I put it on them. I put it on them. And then they act it out. I don't understand what's wrong with this child. Driving me crazy, doing this, doing that. You did it. You did it from the beginning. From the very beginning. Out of this mouth come blessings and curses. Life and death. What are you having people speak over your child? Or speak into your child? It starts with what you name them. And somehow, we've completely lost that understanding. In ignorance, we've turned the cross into an idol. This is a big pet peeve of mine. You get offended, too bad. Everywhere you look, you see crosses. Everywhere. You see crosses around people's necks. You see them in their ears. You see them on billboards. You see them on their bodies. Everywhere you look, you see a cross. People who don't even believe wear or have crosses on them. People who profane the very name of God have crosses on them. But the whole thing is, God never meant for the cross to be anything more than an instrument. And we have to understand the history of how this worked. When Adam and Eve were in the garden, there were how many trees? 2. The knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. God said, do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's what God said. So that put his child in a position of decision. Do I follow what the Father says? Or do I do something else? We know how the story goes. But that's what happened. And then further along in the Bible, it says, cursed is he who hangs on the tree. The curse was because when Adam had the opportunity to choose life, everlasting life, he chose disobedience and therefore was cursed. So anyone who died on a tree now is cursed. And then further along the scripture in the New Testament, it says that Christ took on the curse. That's the purpose of the cross. That's the purpose of the cross. The cross is not the symbol of salvation. The cross is the symbol of decision. When he was on the cross, that's what Yeshua ministry uses, the 3 crosses. When he was on the cross, on the right and on the left were 2 people. One cursed him and threw insults at him, and the other one asked for salvation. When you come to the cross, that's the point of the cross. Make a decision. Make a decision. Are you going to choose God's plan for your life, or are you going to continue to walk in disobedience? That's the purpose of the cross. It's not for me to wear around like some symbol letting everybody know I'm a Christian. Because really the cross is what? An instrument of death. That's what it is. But the cross is the point of decision. So tonight you come here and you hear this, and guess what? You're at the cross. You're at the point of decision. Am I going to believe God and follow his plan for my life? Or am I going to continue to walk in disobedience? That's the point of the cross. We can't ignore it anymore. We've got to stop using it as an idol. And stop getting mad when other people use it as an idol. They want to wear crosses, great, go ahead. You're walking in perversion. You're walking in ignorance. Because that's what the expectation is. When you get to the cross, you have to make a decision. Because if the cross was actually a symbol of Christianity, Christ would probably still be there. But we know that's not how it worked. He was taken off the cross. It was just an instrument to get the plan of God communicated. He got back up, which gave us the power to make the decision when we get to the cross.